Hey, welcome to the Shift with Intention podcast, and I'm Jamie Zagrafis, your host, and today we have Jill Kneemiller with us. She is a licensed professional counselor, strengthening her skills to consciously create the life she desires and deserves. It is her passion to share what she knows with others and watch them transform their lives. She is determined, she never gives up on her dreams, and she knows not to quit before the miracle happens. Let's give a warm welcome to Jill Kneemiller.
Thank you, Jamie.
You're welcome.
Good to be here.
So, Jill, we met 10 years ago. Our kids played soccer together.
Yeah.
And we don't always keep in touch, but when we do, it just pops right back in like I just saw you yesterday.
Exactly.
Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about you so they understand who they're listening to today?
Okay. Well, you all know I'm a therapist. And outside of that, I have 3 daughters. I'm a single mom to 3 daughters. They're 23, 19, and 18. The 23-year-old is out on her own and doing well. The 19-year-old is 1 foot in, 1 foot out of my house. And the 18-year-old is on a 5-year plan.
Okay.
She has recently told me, and she doesn't know how to clean or cook. So our goal in the next 5 years is to teach her that so she can move out on her own as well. Outside of that, I just love hanging out with my friends, going to dinner, having drinks, and I also really enjoy staying at home in my pajamas, doing nothing.
Lovely. I love it. Well, that's lovely, Jill. So the book.
Yes.
Jill is one of the 43 authors in our book, Shift with Intention and Soar, Your Guide to Manifesting Your Best Life. I remember when you had called me to get one of my kits, and we met at Llewellyn's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that is the first time I was around you to learn that you're like, oh my God, I'm manifesting and I just saw a rainbow and and I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't known that had shifted in your life. Anyway, I just forgot to tell you that a while ago.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I asked you to be in the book, why was it such a fast yes for you?
So, one thing for me that I always affirm and manifest, I guess, is that I expect amazing opportunities to always fall in my lap. So there was one night right before I went to bed. I don't know what I was listening to or watching or something, but it said no, that wasn't it. That was a different story. But nonetheless, I woke up that morning and I just said to myself right before I got in bed, I don't know what it was. I just had a feeling. And I was like, today's going to be an amazing day. And I said to myself, I don't know what's going to happen, how it's going to be amazing. I just know that it is. So I, went in my kitchen, made my coffee, whatever. It was on Facebook. I liked something of yours. And then next thing I know, you're texting me saying, hey, I'm putting this book together. Would you like to be a part of it? And it was a no-brainer. I'm like, well, I knew today was going to be amazing. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. I've always wanted to write. And in fact, when I was looking through some of my old notebooks, I had put this, I shared this with you recently, that in April of 2020, I had affirmed that I was going to be a published writer. And 2 years later, in April of 2022, here I am, and so it was just for me. And I texted you and I said, Jamie, I just knew something amazing was going to happen today. I didn't know what it was, but here we are. And you said, it's only 9 a.m. I was like, right, I know.
Got the whole day still.
I know. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So give us a little, now that this has been a huge part of your life the last few years and we've watched it kind of unfold while I have, what was the old version of Jill like?
So the old version of Jill was, I was a single mom and making, after I finished my master's degree, making $12.60 an hour and thinking, I didn't choose a career that, that's going to make me a ton of money. So here I am, and I'm just going to make $12.60 an hour and try to, raise these 3 teenage daughters. As if anybody has any, they get more expensive as they get older.
They do.
But I was surviving and, don't get me wrong. I was super grateful that I could provide for my kids. They never went without food. They always had a, roof, they always had everything they needed and things that they wanted as well. But I was surviving and I wanted more than that. I wanted to live and, to enjoy my life. And so I just knew there was more to life than just surviving and living paycheck to paycheck. And on outside of that, I had I've had 3 failed marriages and, abusive, toxic relationships. And I don't want to have that anymore either. I decided I don't deserve that, on any level. I do deserve to be loved and adored and treated well and a priority in someone's life and all that type of thing. So the old me was just surviving and attracting a lot of negative, toxic people into my life.
Mm-hmm.
So the new me is
not
living and enjoying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So why do you think you were? Why do you think all that happened before? Was there...
Because I had all these limitations on myself.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect grand things to happen. I didn't, I thought, because, I was raised anyway, which it's good, work hard, you got to work hard and earn this. And, my parents had, they made a good living and, a comfortable household for my brother and I, but, it was just, it was nothing, not that life needs to be grand,
but it might,
but it can be,
right.
It absolutely can be. And what I've learned is, so many people put limitations on themselves, and this is how I was raised. So, I'm going to be okay with this lifestyle because it's tradition. It's what I've learned. It's what I was raised with, and it's what I'm used to. And this is what I expect out of life. And, I want more for my life. There's so much that the universe has to offer, so much. Mm-hmm. And I want to be able to experience as much of that as I possibly can.
So you're in the third failed marriage.
Yeah. Well, I'm out now.
Well, I thank God. I remember.
Yeah.
And clearly unhappy. And that, is mm-hmm. going on its journey. Was it during that time that you started to grow into this, or was it well after that?
It was well after that.
Okay.
It was probably a year or so after that, that I don't even remember where I started learning about that. You know what? You don't have to put limitations on yourself. Right. You can want certain things and ask the universe for them and be the co-creator of your own life. And it was, probably a couple years after that.
So it's a big shift.
Yeah.
That is like, if you're over here, mm-hmm. 3 marriages, and how old were you at the time?
I don't know, in my 30s, I guess.
So late 30s or whatever.
30s.
Yeah. So 3 failed marriages, 30 something.
Yes.
I keep saying it.
Yeah.
And somewhere in there, about a year or 2
mm-hmm.
after, you're like, this isn't the way life needs to be.
No, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, because I know that I bring so much to the table in regards to a relationship. Mm-hmm. I just do. And just with the way that I love somebody else, mm-hmm. I bring a lot. I love hard. I love a lot. I'm, a caretaker. I'm a Cancer and a therapist, so it's just in my nature to be a caretaker, and I enjoy doing that. And so I know that I deserve to be loved the same way I give it. Okay. And I hadn't been at that point.
Yeah. Clearly.
Yeah.
So clearly you're passionate about this because it's totally transformed your life. So tell us why you're passionate about it. Tell us like your experience with manifesting, however you want that to unfold with our listeners.
So, my experience is just that, I've completely transformed the way I think and the way I speak. I used to always say, I attract nothing but toxic men into my life. Well, guess what? Here's
another one.
Here's number 3. Enjoy
on a platter.
Right. And I'm like, okay, well, why don't we change the way I'm thinking and change the way I'm speaking? And, so once I started changing the way that I think in regards to what I deserve and what I want, and being very deliberate and very specific about what I want my life to look like, and what I know I deserve, because I really had to work on my core beliefs in mm-hmm. regards to what I believed I deserved, and, get to a place where I know mm-hmm. what I deserve in life. I know that I'm a good person, and I do good things for other people, and I'm a caring person. And so I know I deserve good things to happen in my life. And I feel like I'd had enough bad karma. I used to joke about this. I used to joke and say, I don't know what I did in another lifetime to deserve this, but it must have been real bad. Yeah. No, that's not the case at all. And I deserve, at this point, I'm like, I deserve all good karma.
Yeah.
That's my belief. I deserve nothing but good karma mm-hmm. moving forward. And I just, changing the way I think and the way I believe about myself and what I deserve and what I say. I'm so intentional about the things that I say.
Mm-hmm.
I might have a thought and almost say it, and I'm like, no,
I do the same thing.
not saying that, not saying that out loud at all. And so, it's funny, and I'm going to bring this up because yesterday we talked about my hair.
Right.
And how, and this is just such a small example of,
but it's fun.
But it's fun. And it's funny is that, back in the day, my hair was so super long. I got it cut off at one point in time. And then I was trying to grow back long again, but it just wouldn't grow long. And I would always say, this is just as long. I guess my hair's not, this is it. Yeah. This is as long as it's going to be. Well, then I learned that that's not how life has to be. And I want long hair, so I started affirming that my hair is, very long, and it is now. And yesterday you're like, well, that's great. Cute. You have long hair. Fantastic. Good for you. But what's funny about it is I say it and I believe it, and I don't look for it like every day. I'm not like, is it longer? Is it longer?
You're not measuring it.
No, I'm not. But what happens is you're around someone and they're like, oh my gosh, your hair's gotten so long. Yeah. So what was funny is after I saw you yesterday, I leave and I go to this party, and this woman comes up to me immediately and starts going on and on about my hair and how long it is and how shiny it is. And I can see my reflection in your hair and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm just laughing to myself because we just talked about it. And here it is presenting itself in my life again. So I text you immediately after. I'm like, you're going to love this. This is hilarious. But it's just such a perfect example about when you speak things, they show up. And that's what I find is that when I speak things, they're always showing up. And it's because I'm open to it now, though. I'm aware of everything around me.
Huge, right?
Yes.
So hair is a great example, and it's a tangible thing that you can kind of measure. But what about the things that we can't measure? Or, like your thought process of attracting toxic people? What was the first thing that you did after working through those core beliefs? What was that first step?
So, I really had to work on my self-concept a lot.
What does that mean?
So that means saying positive things about myself, which, as a therapist, I've heard other therapists encourage their clients to be like, I am loved. Look in the mirror.
A lot of I ams. Yeah.
I am loved. I'm adored. And I'm like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I would never tell a client to say that. So stupid.
But it feels funny at first.
And it does. It feels super awkward if you don't believe it. Right. When you don't believe it, it feels really unnatural and uncomfortable. And so here I am now doing all these affirmations every day and telling other people to do it, where years ago I was like, that's dumb. I'm never doing that, but I really had to start with working on my self-concept and changing what I say to myself. So I could start changing all of those core beliefs I had about myself and what I deserve.
Right. Yeah. Right. Do you know Louise Hay?
No.
Oh my gosh. So she's an amazing, amazing author, writer, speaker, and spiritual. And she wrote a book called You Can Heal Your Life. And in that, things that happen in your body and whatnot, you have an affirming statement for anything.
Yes.
And the woman said, go buy little mirrors. And so as you are in your day, I drive around and I'd pull out my pocket mirror, or I'd look in. I have told very few people this, or the rearview mirror. Now everybody knows. And you're supposed to say, I love you like 20 times to yourself. So I'd be in the mirror. I'm either in or I'm out. So I'm all in on this project. So I buy these pocket mirrors for my car, for my room. And so I'm just like, I love you, Jamie. I mean, and all the time for, during the time that I was leaving a bad relationship. And I'm like, people are probably looking at me in the parking lot, like on the grocery store. I love you. But I mean, it's a thing.
It is.
And it's as funny as it is. Have some fun with it.
Yeah. I talk to myself in the car all the time, and I change the rearview mirror so I can look at myself. And I do those same types of things. And my kids will get in my car. Why is it always looking at you? Well, why shouldn't it be? Because I do. I'll look at it and I'm like, you're so loved and adored. Right. I do the same thing.
Oh my God.
But now, thank God, all cars have Bluetooth. And so people just assume we're talking to someone on their phone, not to ourselves.
Because you can hear people like 3 cars away. Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So talk to me about, we're manifesting all the time. People think it's such an art. How do I manifest?
And witchcraft.
Yeah. And so what, tell us how simple it is that you're manifesting bad and good.
Yes.
So explain that.
I mean, so, really whatever our thoughts are and whatever we say out loud are just things that they happen. We say it and we think it and then they show up. I'll give you an example. My 18-year-old daughter has been in 3 car accidents in 6 months. And, she came home, the other day and after the last car accident, and she says something like, God, why do all bad things happen to me? Well, that's a perfect example of why all bad things keep happening to you, because you say it and you believe it, and then it just keeps showing up in your life. That's why I'm so intentional about the things that I say, because I'm not putting something out there that I don't want to show up in my life. Right. So sometimes I have a thought and then it almost comes out and I'm like, oh, no, not saying that, so it's just, really, I'm trying to think of and it's so simple. I mean, recently I was driving and there's a friend of mine that I used to talk to, periodically, not all the time, but I was driving and I don't know why I had thought about him and I was like, gosh, I haven't heard from him in a while. I wonder how he's doing, literally text me or called. No, he called me right after that. And I was in the middle of doing something, so I couldn't answer, but I'm like, well, that's super. Is it weird though? No, it's not weird because I just thought it. And not that everything we think happens immediately, because I've been thinking I'm going to win the lottery for a hot minute.
You know what? I almost did.
Yeah.
Not this time around. I feel like I almost did.
Yeah.
So here's something that I think is so interesting. I read, and I'm not sure what book, the universe doesn't know if it's an affirmative or a negative. So if you're saying, I don't want a toxic man, right? The universe doesn't hear I don't want, right? It hears toxic man.
That's all it hears.
Yeah. Right. And so that was something I was like, oh, yeah. I learned that, you can't say when in dating or in work or whatever it is, right. I don't want somebody who's blah, blah, blah. You got to speak in the positive and the affirmative.
Talk about what you do want, and so that's exactly what I do, is talk about what I want. And it's, and sometimes I have to be careful with that too, because I'm just so very intentional about all of it, because sometimes I don't want to affirm for something assuming that I don't have it, because everything I affirm for, I try to affirm for it in like I already have it. Right.
Which is important. Yeah.
So a lot of things that I say now are I choose.
Yeah.
I choose to have this and that. I choose to have X, Y, and Z, so it's not like, oh, I want this. So I'm coming from a place of lack, and I'm coming from a place of I don't have it, instead of this is what I choose. I choose to have this, in my life.
So since you mentioned lack, let's touch on, we have lack and we have abundance.
Yeah.
And so I used to have a lot of lack and I am very abundant, but that took a long process. Yeah. That's a belief that I believe we carry.
Yeah.
So there's always enough in the universe. So tell our new manifestors about that.
About there always being enough.
Yeah. And so people who think, oh yeah, I'm not going to get X, Y, Z.
Well, so here's just an example, because some people, and everything that I manifest isn't about material things, right? It's about how I feel about myself. It's about my relationships. It's about, some material things, but it's just, one of my affirmations every day is I choose to attract an abundance of love and success and blessings and good health. And, and so it's not all just about financial things, but at the same time, I was driving to go pick up my Walmart order today, I'm always thinking, and trying to remind myself that, the car that I want, I'm not going to say what it is right now, because, I'm working on it. Okay. And it's always presenting itself in
in your space.
And so I know it's on its way.
Okay. That's my other favorite phrase. It's on its way.
It's on its way.
Everything's
I've already put the order in. That's what it is. I put the order in, and the universe is just aligning me with the resources and opportunities for it to happen. I love it. Waiting, but that's the other thing. You can't be like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Because you hear a lot of people teach stuff about manifestation. And if you do this, and if you say this 3 times, so-and-so is going to text you. Right. That's a bunch of BS. It doesn't happen like that, so you can't do something or say something and then look at your phone or look at, go run out to the mailbox or whatever it is, because it doesn't happen that way. You have to, let go of, you have to detach from what the outcome is.
Right.
And so Jim Carrey explained it so well in something in a graduation speech that he had given, is that, you tell the universe what you want and you go on about your life and you go on about trying to achieve what it is that you want, knowing that the universe is working with you. And so you don't look for when and you don't look for how and all of that kind of stuff. You just trust and believe it's going to happen when it's meant to happen, but, I was driving today and I was thinking about this car that I want. And I'm like, why shouldn't I have it? They make them. They make lots of them,
right?
And they're there to be had. So I should have it for sure.
Right. So did you just say I can't just go speak it into existence and then go sit in the corner in my room and just hope that somebody knocks on the door?
No, though. But you know what, Jamie, I say that, like, I used to say to clients all the time that didn't have jobs or something, like, no one's going to knock on your front door and offer you a job. Well, that happened to me. Yeah. So sometimes it happens.
Well, and I agree that, but you were probably already in that space. I feel like, there's a guy that has asked me to help him a little bit, and he's like, well, how do I do it? And I was like, the first thing is you got to believe. Yeah. You've got to believe, and you've got to surrender and just believe. Yeah. It's not even about you. Right. And that piece, I think, is the hardest thing. Yeah. So some people will say, I want, a blue chair tomorrow, which is a silly example, and then sit in the corner and
wait for the blue chair.
But don't, you've got to take action and believe and be all those things, kind of like what Jim Carrey said. Yeah. So I think,
and I think, this is in, my chapter too, about being, I used to wear like I'm the strongest person that everybody knows, like a badge of honor, like all the things that I had been through, with these failed relationships and things, you're the strongest, because I've had to restart so many times, and they're like, you're the strongest person I know. I'm resilient, resilient. I have to put it on my arm so I remember, so I have to, I've picked up and moved on and restarted. And every time I come out stronger, and this I do believe about myself. And I've always believed that I always come out stronger every single time I have to rebuild. And so, but I'm done rebuilding. I'm just going to keep building.
Good.
And, but I was so, I'm the strongest person everybody knows. Well, I feel like all that was and I wore, like, I'm proud of myself. I'm so strong. I'm a strong woman. Okay, great. So I think all I attracted by being so proud of that was more opportunities to be strong.
I've heard that.
Yes.
Yeah. If you want to be patient, guess what? Guess what's going to show up? There's a lot of ways to be patient.
Yes. And so I've decided, now that I know what I'm doing to myself, I don't need to be strong anymore. I don't even need to be strong. What I'm going to be is the luckiest person that everybody knows. I'm no longer the strongest. I'm the luckiest. Oh. And, I do say to myself every single day, and I did today, that opportunities just fall in my lap without me even trying to. And they do. So I don't need to be strong anymore. I've given it up. It's so peaceful not to have to be strong anymore.
I agree.
Yeah.
So you're human. So I
Last
know,
time I checked.
I know that you can't 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every moment of every day be like, la, 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 I create opportunities. And you do. So just so everyone knows that they're human too. And so are you. How do you deal with that?
So, I have negative thoughts, on a daily basis. And so I used to, when I first started practicing all of this, I think I was being taught at the time that, whenever you have these negative thoughts, to come, like, I'm just going to use this for an example. I'm not lovable, then you have to quickly get rid of that thought. And I am lovable. And then repeat that to yourself. That's exhausting, and it really doesn't work. And so, what I've started doing is kind of just welcoming that thought. Okay. So if I'm feeling doubt about whatever it is, where's that fear, or where's that coming from? Well, that's coming from the old Jill, and how I used to think and how I used to believe and things like that. That's where that's coming from, because it takes a long time for all those core beliefs that I've had for 40 years, that I lived with for 40 years. Just because I started doing these positive affirmations 4 years ago doesn't mean that. I mean, it takes work and it takes effort, to
every single day.
Yes. To get to that. So, and I'm not perfect at it. I don't know that I'll ever be, but what I do know is the more I do it, the better I get at it and the stronger that it gets, as with everything, because everything that I practiced years ago got stronger. And so, and I did
because
that
you were the strongest person.
because I was the strongest person everyone knew.
So I just did it.
And no one ever gave me a cape, which is ignorant.
You know, I bet you can make your own cape.
I bet I could. I
You
could.
can, even if you can't sew.
Yeah. But, you know, like just, I have to, now I'm just like, okay, where's that fear coming from? Where's that doubt coming from? Oh, I know where that's coming from. It's coming from, 40 years of X, Y, and Z. Okay. So I hear you. I feel you. I get it. But that's not who I am anymore. That's not how it is anymore for me. And so I recognize you, but now you're going to have to just get on down the road, and that's not how we think and believe anymore, which is probably why I was talking, trying to remind myself that I deserve the car that I want this morning, because when I have doubts about things, I'm like, no, that's ridiculous. You do deserve X, Y, and Z. You deserve all of these things.
And I think that is one of the most missed pieces, that when people talk about manifestation is, nope, scrap that thought, say the positive thought, because that healing of that space of what's underneath that, I think is why you've gotten to where you have, because in the beginning, I remember you saying it was so exhausting that you were like, I can't even do this.
Yeah.
Because, it was like, I don't know, like hitting a wall.
Yeah.
I
was so stressed out. I was so stressed out trying to do these positive affirmations literally all day, every day. I was trying to do these affirmations to try to combat whatever negative thought I was having. And it was so exhausting. And to be honest, like I'll say my affirmations at some point in time in my day, but I'm to the point now where I don't need to, because I feel it and I know it and I believe it. And I've seen it show up so many different ways in my life. I mean, I told you the one time that, this just happened recently, is that I believe that I deserved an apology from someone in my past. And I didn't get an apology from this person, but I ran into him.
Okay.
And I text you the next day.
Yes,
and
I was like, God, what was this? I remember.
Okay. Yeah, and I text you the next day and I'm like, you'll never believe what happened last night. And so I tell you the whole story and I'm like, I'm trying to process what this even means, but it was such an amazing evening.
Yes.
And I felt, because I never knew how I would feel if I ran into this person. And it felt amazing. I felt amazing. And so the next day I text you, I'm like, this has happened and it was amazing. And I don't even know what it means, or I don't know how to process it. I didn't get an apology. And you said, I think it's just the universe telling you that you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now. And I'm like, I think you're exactly right. And I didn't get
gave me the chills.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get an apology, but but the thing is, at this point, I don't need one.
Right.
Like, it was so amazing. It was such an amazing experience that I don't need the apology, so.
Well, your energy probably spoke.
Oh, it
loud and clear.
It definitely was speaking. Yeah.
So Minecraft is the title of your chapter, which I love.
Yeah.
The game of
belief.
Yeah. And tell us how you came up with that.
So I was trying to figure out like what manifesting kind of means to me and how I got to this point and, where I'm at in my life. And so to me, manifesting is just shifting old thoughts into new thoughts, and old things they used to say into saying new things. And so to me, I talked to friends and different things, trying to come up with I just wanted like the perfect chapter. I wanted it to grab people's attention, and I wanted it to kind of just capture what the whole chapter was going to be about. And so to me, Minecraft was, because that's what manifesting, I don't even know if I like the word anymore, to be honest.
Manifesting?
Yes.
I like magnetizing better.
That's one of my affirmations.
Of course it is. Because I feel like manifesting is such a masculine word and magnetize is feminine. I'm like, you know what?
It literally is one of my daily affirmations. So that's hilarious.
Yeah,
because I told you it always presents, everything, it just presents itself in here.
We didn't even know that. So I know you guys might think that we did. We did not.
Yeah. So I forget what the question even was.
Minecraft.
Minecraft. So to me, what manifesting or, means to me is shifting your thoughts and what you say. And so to me, Minecraft, it's a craft of your mind. It's a craft of thinking. And so that's where I kind of came up with Minecraft,
Like it a lot.
And it's a game of belief. Minecraft is a game, obviously, that we all know these kids like to play. And so Minecraft, it was, Minecraft, crafting your mind, thinking something different than what you're used to thinking, and a game of belief, because it's a game of believing that these things are going to present themselves in my life. I'm going to believe it. I just believe. That's just where I'm at now.
Right.
I trust and believe.
Right.
I trust and believe.
Yeah. So a couple things, like I love being like, you know what, I'm going to go out and play in the universe today. It's like a big playground, and nothing but good things is going to happen, know, and things like that. I don't say it every day, but it's a fun thought. So when our new manifestors are trying new things and it doesn't work the day of, what's your advice?
Just let go of, detach from whatever it is that you're...
Detach is a different word.
Yeah.
I know what detach means. So do you. What does detach mean to our new detachers?
That means don't look for it.
Okay. But be aware.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Just don't look for what it is that, and I used to do these fun little games, too, when I first started and I remember one week I was like, okay, this week, I think I was like, oh, Grace is going to wear a purple shirt and Shelby's going to wear whatever color shirt it was. So it was fun. Like these little things that I used to try to manifest to bring into just for fun, Right. And I remember this one week, and I remember Grace walked in my office and she had on and I would start laughing. She's like, what? I'm like, I knew you were going to wear that color shirt, and
she's like, Mom.
Yeah. But, and I used to look for things all the time. And when you're looking for something, it's like watching everyone uses this example, but nonetheless, it's true, because when you're trying to watch a pot of boiled water so you can put your stupid spaghetti in it for 8 minutes, that you watch it and it takes forever for it to start. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just means that it feels like it takes so much longer. So, the universe knows what I want. I've been very specific about it. And so I've really just kind of detached from, I don't look for it to happen. I know I just got chills in both my legs. I don't look for any of it to happen. I just know that it's going to. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know. And that's okay. I'm still going to continue to enjoy my life. Like today, I'm going to enjoy today knowing, because this is how I've seen it work out, is that when I affirmed that I wanted that person to apologize to me, that was a while before I ever ran into him. I mean, it was a while, and I kind of forgot that I even, that's the thing, when you forget, I think when you
it's fun.
And and then you're like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that I even affirmed for that at whatever point in time, which was so funny when I found that old notebook that said I wanted to publish something in April of 2020, 2 years later. I did, and so it's just, when you forget about it, it's like, I want it. I told the universe I want it. And I believe that it's going to happen, and I don't know when, but it's going to.
Do you know Abraham Hicks?
Yes. Okay.
We've got to go to one of her things. Okay. I was thinking about that this morning. She does a lot of very cute YouTube videos, and this made me think of it. And some girl stood up and, whatever in their life wasn't working. So I think it was a relationship. And he says, my success, I'm very successful. I always have enough money. And he goes on this tangent of he always has enough money and I'm fine with money, but this thing isn't working. And she's like, well, do you expect money? He goes, well, yeah. And she's like, well, that's why you always have it. You expect it. It's your belief. You assume it's always there. Kind of like what you're saying. She said, but you don't expect that in this relationship. And I was like, so, my sister or something would be like, your life works out. I'm like, does it? But I do expect in the success of my life that things will just happen. And so it's interesting. So I started changing that sound on other things.
Yeah.
So watch me.
Yeah.
Here I
come. Yes. Yeah.
But I think if you expect green lights or parking spots, so things like that. Yeah. So what do you...
You know what? That's so funny is I always get front row parking spots.
So Yep.
And I'll be like, my grandma used to say, that's because you're living right. When she would get one on. So, when I'm with the kids, I get my front row parking spot. I'm like, I'm living right.
I know. My sister's like, every time I drive with you, this happens. I'm like, I know. And you say that all the time too. So we have a double manifestation here. So of course it happens.
Yes.
Because it isn't every single time. Sometimes I'm like, I feel like walking.
Right. Yeah.
Get some exercise. Okay. So to kind of conclude here.
Yes.
Give us 2 or 3 steps for our new manifestors to start.
Okay. So know exactly what you want. know exactly what you want your life to look like. You know, if you woke up tomorrow and everything was exactly what you wanted it to be, what does that look like for you? So be very specific about what you want. And then when you ask the universe for it, be very specific about what it is that you want. Let go of limiting beliefs that you can't have it for whatever reason, because why not you? Why not us?
Right.
Why not? You know, this huge universe, you know, it's here, you know, so why not? Why not us? So let go of the limiting beliefs, be very specific about what you want, and let go of the when, how, and where, and trust. Just trust and believe.
I love it.
Just trust.
Do y'all get that?
Trust.
All right, Jill, is there anything else you want to say, or?
No, this has been so much fun.
It has been fun.
Yeah, and I'm glad I get to be the not number one guest, but I mean.
She said number one. Let's just notate that.
I'm the first one. I'm the first one. And this has been such a fun experience. We did this yesterday, y'all, and we didn't record anything, no sound.
Yes. I mean, sometimes you don't always know exactly what you're doing, but where can people get a hold of you if they want to?
So, you know, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can, you know, I'm on TikTok, whatever, you know, you can look up my amazing videos.
I mean, soon you're going to be doing shivers on TikTok with me. So that's
right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you know, I'm on social media, so you can find me there. I'm not going to give you my home address or my phone number.
Okay. That's intentional. All right. Well, thank you guys. And thank you, Jill. It was my pleasure. And thank you to all our listeners, and her information will be in the show notes. Thanks.